Sia, for being with us and covering the competition. I was watching CNN a few minutes ago before I came over, and it's quite exciting to see that there's a huge amount of global interest. And we've always, I come from the business world, and I always say my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my father was an entrepreneur. But one of the things we learned at a very young age, running the family businesses and standing behind the counter in the family supermarket and selling, bread, butter, and maize and meat, is the principle that the customer is always right. If a customer says, I want Coca-Cola, don't try and persuade them to get Pepsi-Cola. If a customer says, I want brown bread, don't try and persuade them and say, go for white bread. I mean, rather say, I don't have white bread. So, and why I'm talking about this is this principle that the customer, in everything that we sell and that we make, the customer knows better than we do. That same principle applies to the spectators, the fans, the people who watch football in Morocco, in Africa, and globally. Part of our focus has been to make sure that African football is world class. Why do we keenly watch football from other parts of the world? We watch them because we're excited, because the quality of football that we see is attractive, appealing, and world class. So we're making good progress in making African football globally appealing, great to watch, exciting, and that's why we were also talking about when Africa does well in the World Cup, because that's a higher stage, and that's why we have to set the aim. We have the capacity and the ability to have an African nation. I mean, Pele said, there's only one Pele, said many years ago, an African nation will be in the World Cup. Now, we have that ability. I mean, I've got about 120,000 employees in the companies where we are the biggest shareholder, and including the companies that we started. And one of the things is that you must talk based on the facts. When we play football, and I'm the captain of a football club that's losing 11-0 at halftime, and I tell the team, guys, we're going to win. They look at me and say, do you see what's happened? Didn't you see what happened in the first half? So my assertion that an African nation will indeed win the African World Cup is because I look at what's happening all over the world, and with the appropriate investment, it needs investment. It requires investment. Look at Croatia. Croatia is a small nation. Look at Netherlands. Look at Armenia. I mean, Croatia was in the final. Only with, what's the population? I think it's 5 million or what, I don't know. But it's a small nation. But if there's a look at Switzerland. Switzerland is you don't want to be playing against Switzerland. Which is the African nation that's in the group with Switzerland? Cameroon. Okay, but Cameroon will do well. But the point I'm making is that African football will benefit, will reap what it sows. Morocco is a perfect example. You look at the investment, the passion, the commitment, and it's a big advantage to have a government and a head of state that loves football. And so I was told quite some time ago that a woman's nation, a woman's club, a woman's team from Africa will be in the World Cup before the men do. And I must say, I'm excited with what I see, but I'm also clear that the instruction has to be, we can, both the women and the men have the talent and the capacity to compete at the highest level. Now, one other thing is, football brings us together. Football unites people who speak different languages, who are from different races, who are from different ethnic groups, who are from different religious and faith-based backgrounds. And of course, for me, coming from South Africa, where we've had many, many years of legalized racial segregation, and we saw how sports and football, including rugby, when they look at you, they don't say the white football player or the black football player or the green football player. They say, my hero. You know, we're all made in God's image, and that's an exciting thing. And for us as well, we want football in Africa to, you know, as I've been traveling in Nigeria, they say to me, President, when the Nigerian national team plays, there isn't a division between North and South. There isn't a division on religious or ethnic. We are all Nigerian. We are all one nation. The unique power of football, and the same message I got when I went to WAFCON. I can talk about my experience in the country I grew up in. I just want to say that I'm deeply excited. We've had record attendance. We broke the record of spectators at the women's football match. And my brother Fauzi was giving me, he sent me Madame Kaniza, please, can you sit somewhere? Yeah, give Madame Kaniza. She's the boss of all that. Madame, why don't you come and sit with us? Madame, come and sit with us. Yeah. She's my boss when it comes to everything, and very specifically when it comes to women's football. She's our first woman vice president at CAF. Really does exceptional work, and is the head of the women's committee. So we've got a clear understanding that we've got to invest significantly more in schools football, which is what we are doing. And I'm personally proud that the MOTSEPE'S Family Foundation donated $10 million to youth schools, the Pan-African schools football competition. And there's a huge focus on developing football amongst youth throughout the continent, both male and female, and we're focusing on infrastructure because we still have a problem. There's still too many African nations whose stadiums are not at the level of CAF and FIFA. And that's why I said yesterday we will be recognizing 2 heads of state in the next 2 months for their unique contribution to sports and football in particular in their country, but also on the continent. And we're trying to send a message. I had an excellent meeting last week with the president of the head of state of Ethiopia, passionate about football and also passionate about women's football. And then the following day, I had a very good meeting with the head of state of Uganda to talk about their contribution to developing football. And this similar meeting with the head of state of South Sudan. And then had a meeting with the head of state of Seychelles. Big commitment there. And the last country I visited was Algeria. This last city I visited was Algeria. The last country I visited was Algeria because Algeria is a proud football nation, won the African, they were champions in Africa in 2019, and football brings our people together, not just in our countries, but also part of what we are doing is to use football to bring our nations together. Because at the end of the day, we're all African. And we want to work together, to develop together, to build African football. And and our partnership with Europe is very important to us. We've got many of our young players play in Europe, and we want European football to grow and to succeed. I had a very good meeting with the president of UEFA, and there's a commitment to work together. Good relationship with the CONMEBOL, president of South America, as well as the president of CONCACAF Asia and Oceania. So the future of, and of course today it's women's football. Don't ask me who's going to win, because as the president of CAF, my duty is to every single one of the 54 nations. So I come from South Africa, and we got our democracy because of the huge sacrifices of all of the countries in Africa. So I've got an emotional bond with many African countries, and that bond is very important to us. So I'm excited that tomorrow we're going to have to create football nations, women football, and I wish. I'm told you should say, because there are two, you should say the better one must win. But I mean, instead you say, may the best nation win, and then the main focus after that is Qatar. And even there, those 5 nations that are representing us in Qatar, we're very proud of them. We're giving them all the support, and I'm confident that every single one of them will do very well. Just one final issue. There's some good things happening. Women who are playing football in Africa are now getting more money, which is excellent. I must tell you, I 2 or 3 years ago, my son came to me and said, I see that you love this before. I never wanted to get involved even in South Africa, in football administrative leadership. I don't have time for that. I love philanthropy, but coming to CAF is because we appreciate that football is unique amongst our youth, and we need to give a future to those 300 million young Africans between the age of 15 and 25. They are everything. I'm not saying those that are older than 25 are not important. Those are very important. On the family side, we focus a lot on the philanthropy. And we are passionate about football as a family. I'm passionate about football. But I must say, I was telling about my son who came 3 years ago, you must pay the women more money and pay them more. And it must not be, we did it because we love football, but also we did it because it was more from the family side, out of our broader philanthropic, not just commitments, but philanthropic obligations. So many of our players, the women are playing in Europe. Let me say, I know what I'm talking about. I bought a club more than 20 years ago in South Africa, and the first thing I said was, guys, I want the players who play for my football team to earn more money than any other team in South Africa. And I was also drinking a lot of orange juice at the time, and I said I want to conquer Africa. And of course, we won in 2016. But of course, as I said now, I love every club. I love Wydad, I love Raja, I love Al-Ahly, I love Zamalek, Kaizer Chiefs, Orlando Pirates, all of those beautiful clubs. But the beauty of what we're seeing, women are going to be paid more, and that's part of my job. I want the women to earn more money, and not just talk about it. They must receive more money, and this is part of the message, because also what I like is the sponsors are now realizing that, wow, there's a commercial value that we've always known it. But I want the women football players in Africa at club level, at national team level, to get competitive salaries, and their technical staff, and their coaches, and their employees. And the same for the men and the maids. I want African football players in Africa to get competitive, and competitive in relation to the rest of the world. I know already we pay in club football in Africa. We already pay, we compete with the Scandinavians. We compete with many countries in Europe. We know that. And with the African Super League, some of my friends in Europe said, please don't call it Super League because we had such a bad experience with Super League, and the business, the commercial part of me says, yeah, don't call it Super League because you don't want. If there's a son called, in Africa they give children funny names, so they give. Let me look more at the positive. There's a name called Tandaman. It's an Arab name. I'm just joking. There's a name in South Africa called. You give children names. It means you love people. And then they give others funny names, like you are a fighter, or you fight, or you keep grudges. And it's incredible how, if you give them their name, they really live up to. You say to one of them, you are. It's usually when there was a war, and a child is born, and they say, your name is, we're having a war. The child grows up and fights the rest of his life. So the Super League, they say, people who support, just call it something else other than Super League. But some of the commercial people say, call it Super League because it is Super League. I'm not worried about whatever you call it. We just want it to be successful, and we know it will contribute immensely to African football players getting even more paid, better paid. And we're going to use that also to say you can only participate in the Super League if you've got a women's club. You must have a women's club, and you must support it. And you've got to have an academy, and you've got to have a youth structure. And you've got to have lots of other basic things that we require. Just one other quick thing. We've increased the prize money for the women by 150%. We've increased the prize money for the Champions League by 40%. We have increased the prize money for the AFCON, which is just, because I sort of inherited that, so I have to tweak it a little bit. We've increased it by 10% approximately, and I want to increase it even more. But we want these competitions, and we have to review those competitions. We've increased the Confederations Cup, I think, by, what is it? I think 55%, the Confederations Cup. So you've got to increase the prize money, and I know that the club that I was associated with, and they're still owned by the family, whenever they win, all of that money goes to the players and the technical staff. Now, can you imagine in the Super League, African Super League, there's $11.5 million first prize that we are looking at. Right now, there's $4 million. We've increased the Champions League. So if the Champions League from $2.5 million to $4 million. But can you imagine if there's $11.5 million that's being won in the Super League, and a lot of that money goes to the players and the technical staff. And that's part of how you've got to incentivize, you've got to reward. Okay, I think I've said more than what I thought, so I think you'll ask questions. And so you want to say something?
Yes, President, just before you take the questions, yesterday you interacted with the legends, you attended the Women's Legends match. Just maybe just give me a little bit of feedback of your interaction with the legends yesterday, both women and men who were at the stadium yesterday.
Yeah, I'm happy the women didn't ask me to play with them because they would have dribbled and re-dribbled. And my boys would have said, Daddy, what are you doing now? We don't mind if you go and get the legends dribble you. Listen, some of those women are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. And there's, what I love is, there's such a special bond amongst them. They've been playing together, women from the north who speak Arab, women from the west who speak French and some Portuguese and Spanish, those from the south who speak English. And when you see them hug each other and embrace each other, there's so much love there, there's so much camaraderie spirit there. And it's so beautiful. One of the women said, my Arabic is improving. and she can't even speak French, but it's good that she's learning Arabic because her friend said to her, who's from the north, I'm not going to talk to you in French, I'm going to talk to you in Arabic. And she said, fine, I'll talk to you in English as well. But it's beautiful. And that's a unique power of football, bringing people together. And we were talking with Veron that we'll be, and Madame Kanza, we'll be engaging with the women legends to talk to them and hear from them. What can CAF do? Because this is part of my culture. You know, I bought mines that were old, unprofitable. And one of my first meetings was I had to address 8,000 employees who were told, you don't have work, you must go home. And it's incredible what you learn when you allow people, when you keep quiet and allow people to tell you what their problems are, what they're unhappy about, and how we can improve. And this is how we really took off as a mining company, because we took mines that were unprofitable and we turned them around based on what the workers told us, the mine workers. So we want to meet with the women legends and the legends as well, the man legends, and what can CAF do to make African football more competitive? How can we work together? All right, I think this is more a meeting for you to ask questions and to listen to what I have to say, because some of what I may say to you are things that are right high say. Yeah, just introduce yourself.
If you just take to the back there, like to check. There we go. Yeah. Just wait the microphone is coming.
Just give us, I know many of you, but for those who don't, just your name and where you come from, and ask the question. And those who, please, I always insist that we speak Arabic at the CAF meetings for those who speak Arabic, and I have my translator, and speak French for those who speak French. You want to say something? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to talk in Arabic?
No, English. I'm from Ghana, so obviously.
Beautiful.
My questions are two, sir. One is related to the final game and another to footballing in South Africa specific. Please,
in South
Africa women's football.
Oh, I thought,
They say charity begins at home. It's a very common proverb in West Africa. I don't know about the other parts of the African continent. But
yeah,
you realize that...
You remember what I said? This is this is the president of Africa,
yes.
Not the president of any specific. My duty is to everyone in the countries. So my home is Africa in terms of the charity that you're correct. My charity is Africa. That's my duty and what I love. And of course, what I do in my spare time, I love Ghana. Can you continue?
Sorry, I didn't mention my name. I'm Leah Caroline Kujo from Radio Gold, reporting from Radio Gold in Accra. Like I said, charity, they say, begins at home. In South Africa, we have Mamelodi Sundowns ladies as one of the football ladies team in there. But we realize that there is no football ladies club attached to Orlando Pirates. Kaiser Chiefs, I still stand to be corrected. But if we look at the future of African football, where South Africa stands as one of the most tight teams in Africa, if there are no other teams connected, female other teams connected to these big giants in Africa, in future, we are looking at 5-10 years, the development of South African teams, female teams. Then also my second question goes to the final that will be played tomorrow. In the semi-final, the second semi-final game between Nigeria and Morocco, we realized that when the first goal came from the ends of Nigeria, some of the Moroccan spectators were not too happy. So some of them, not all of them, some of them started throwing empty bottles into the stadium. We had a record of attendance in the stadium. Probably because of the event we had yesterday, a lot of people are in town, and I expected to fill the stadium, and we are looking at another record of attendance. Please, is there any strategic security in place, just in case maybe South Africa wins, and probably the home support? So we are looking at two ways. South Africa can win, the home support, spectators in the stadium might be angry, and also Morocco can win. In case South Africa wins, is there any strategic security in place to check that none of these things that we saw in that game between Nigeria and Morocco not happening in the stadium? Thank you.
Thank you so much. You you come from a very special country, very special country with really outstanding people. Now, you saw Evelyn yesterday, and how she made all of us very, very proud. And when you said charity begins at home, I thought you meant my charity in Ghana, and Asante Kotoko, and Hearts of Oak, and I've had, in my club, we've had some of our best days have come from Ghana. So what I want to emphasize, just repeat what I said. Charity indeed begins at home. And for me, as the president of CAF, my home is Africa. I love South Africa. I was born in South Africa. South Africa has made me what I am. Africa has made me what I am. My focus tomorrow is on those two nations that will be sending out exceptional football players, and those women will be playing there, and those girls will make the people of Morocco proud. They'll make the people of South Africa proud, just like those exceptional women from Nigeria and Ghana and every other nation have made their countries proud, but have also made all of the continent. So the football team tomorrow makes all of us, the whole 54 African nations, very proud, quite apart from the countries that they come from. And I'm also very proud of, just to answer your question, Kaiser Chiefs and Orlando Pirates, great football clubs from Sub-Saharan Africa. And I know that they've done good work. It's a good point to raise. The issue of women's football is making big progress in both those clubs, as well as in various other clubs. And as I said, the clubs that will be part of the Super League, there will be a clear obligation on them to have a women's club to support. And I can tell you, let me say, those clubs that don't pay their women well will lose them. Those clubs that will play, that pays the girls, the young ones, and the women well, will attract the best. And I must say, I'm confident that women's football is going to grow immensely. And what was the other question? I must say, I've been so excited with the work that has been done in Morocco. Very proud. The facilities, the infrastructure, the passion, the security, and I'm very confident that we as CAF and our partners in government have taken the appropriate steps to deal with any security challenge. I was in Brazil in 2014 when Brazil lost to Germany, and I love football. And when they said to us, we mustn't leave the stadium because I shouldn't say this. I was hoping we all love Brazilian football. In fact, the team that is associated that is owned by the family is called the Brazilians of Africa. But so when they said don't leave the stadium, first I didn't understand because I thought there was another reason, and I learned much later that they said for security reasons. So I'm confident that the authorities in Morocco, you've been going to Cote d'Ivoire to prepare for the WAFCON, and always when you look at the leadership in the eyes, and you see that deep commitment to making sure that the competition is world class. Even if there are challenges, but that commitment is important. So I'm confident that whatever challenges there may be, and thank you for drawing our attention to that as well. We've answered everything.
Just Jalam, yes, you've answered everything. All questions. Jalam?
Yes.
Before you answer, you made us give us such wonderful.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
And if they didn't pay you enough, they will pay you.
Thank you very much. In French or English?
No, in French.
In French.
Okay.
Juste pour rassurer ma chère confrère, ça va super bien se passer, quel que soit le résultat de ce match. J'ai couvert beaucoup d'éditions de la Coupe d'Afrique des Nations, et franchement, c'est pas parce que celle-là se passe au Maroc, peut-être c'est parce que celle-là est une Coupe d'Afrique des Nations féminines. J'ai jamais vu une compétition qui se déroule dans une ambiance aussi bienveillante. Même le public que nous avons ici, et je pense même dans les prochaines éditions, par rapport à la CAF féminine, même, je ne sais pas si vous l'avez remarqué, même les joueuses, comment elles gèrent, en tout cas leur relation avec les arbitres, franchement, le football féminin a quelque chose à apprendre par rapport à ça. Donc, franchement, j'ai rarement vu, et j'en suis vraiment fier pour le pays, mais aussi pour la Confédération africaine de football, parce que, franchement aussi, on ne s'y attendait pas. Et c'est pour ça qu'aujourd'hui, la pression est encore plus forte sur vous, sur la Confédération africaine de football, pour maintenir ce niveau, au niveau de la CAF. Deuxième question, je sais que vous avez un très bon rapport avec le président Fawzi Jacques. Là, vous avez une raison pour ne pas être d'accord. Est-ce que vous avez fait des paris tous les deux par rapport à la finale? Merci.
Have I bet on tomorrow's match? Yes. I've bet my last dollar on tomorrow's match because I can tell you tomorrow. So I was happy in Algeria when the government said to me, we are going to compete and we are going to win. Because I encourage all the countries in Africa to submit their bids to host competitions. And sometimes you find that it's only Morocco. It's only Morocco. And I want many countries from the southern zone, from the eastern zone, from the western zone, from the northern zone to submit, to say, we want to host. And so we've got to develop African football. So we are encouraging them to come because I need to develop football in Uganda, in Namibia, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Egypt, in Tunisia, in Algeria, Libya, all of them. So I'm deeply grateful and appreciative for the contributions and world-class contributions that the people of Morocco, His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God assist him, and the people of Morocco. And I also feel proud when I go to other parts in Africa, and I hear the president there say to me, President, please say thank you to Morocco because they came and built a football pitch, they're giving us resources, and that's good. And I want many other African countries to do that. I want many other African countries to go and support, to us to partner, and of course you find that already there's a lot of trade that's happening, which is excellent. So we were talking with I think it was in one of the press conferences I had when we announced that one of the competitions was going to Egypt. I think it's it's not a beach, it's another one. So it's good. What's up? Beach soccer. Beach soccer. Okay, which is good. But I want beach soccer to go to Mozambique as well. I want Nigeria. That's why I was happy when I went to Nigeria to see them host their competition. Made us proud. I want Ghana to host. I want Senegal. I want because it also goes with economic development to build the facilities. I mean, look at we should be proud of the facilities that are here. And in Egypt, and of course, South Africa also has got good facilities having hosted the World Cup. Okay, next question.
All right. You can come here in front.
Give the ladies first.
Yes, I will, President. She had a hand first.
Yeah.
From the Super Falcons. We're playing tonight.
Lots have been trying to make us feel happy since we lost in the semi-final. Thank you for that.
I must tell you, you played so well. The thing I don't like is I'm going to Qatar. There's no Nigeria.
Even though
Sorry. Sorry. Oh, listen. Those five that are there, we are proud. And if it was up to me, I want more on top of the five. Listen, I'm sorry to interrupt you. If Ghana in South Africa, there was no hand there, I tell you, we would have seen some exciting things. Yeah. I mean, somebody's hand is something funny. Let me continue, sorry.
Okay, so my name is Jane Francis Wenzel from Enugu, Nigeria. And when you were talking about the clubs that are in Africa and you didn't mention Enyimba, I felt a bit jealous. But you eventually talked about coming to Nigeria for the CAF Confederations Cup and you were very proud of it, so I'm happy. And you've lost the helping. I have 3 questions for you. So first,
we just keep it to one if you don't mind.
No. See, the ladies are allowed 3.
Thank you, President.
Men only 1.
So the first question, from what you said, you want to develop football. From what you said, you want to develop football in Africa, and you're a very successful businessman, which is one of the things that we're excited about when you came in as the president. And I'm looking at, are there ways you think that your influence with people in the business world can help, influence sponsorships? Because I look at Nigeria, 9-time champions, Super Falcons are, but it's still very difficult to find indigenous successful companies coming to support the Super Falcons.
Apologies. I need a pen from those ladies at the back because she's asking 3 questions. I just want to. I was told I don't need a pen because everybody is going to ask 1 question, but then, thank you so much. That rule doesn't apply. Thanks a lot. Okay. So I'm going to talk first about Enyimba, which is a club I love immensely. And as well as there's another one that beats someone. 2 others, but they will continue. So your first question is?
Okay, so my first question is there any way that you can bring in, use your influence as a successful businessman to bring other or other businesses rather, into sponsoring football in Africa?
Good question.
That's the first one. Okay, and the second question is, a lot of people have attacked you. I don't know if you've read it, but they said that you have so much influence of FIFA on Africa. There are decisions that are made.
I just want to make sure one answer. They say I influence FIFA too much, or FIFA influences me.
Yes, FIFA influences me. So they say they call it FIFA colonization of Africa. So I need your reaction on that because we've never really heard the inside of the story or the explanation to it. And then finally, as a Nigerian, the Nigerian Football Federation President, Majid, has come out to declare that he wants to run for a top 10. But we want to know if he has your support to do that, because we've read a lot of things. Yeah.
My politician, Majid has said he wants to run again. Is that what you're saying?
He has not said that officially, but we're getting feelers.
That he wants to run again?
Yes.
And you want to know whether I support him?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes, that's the question.
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit quick. Thank you so much. Do you support? Okay. Let me start with Enyimba. 3 clubs in Nigeria. It's Enyimba, then there's another one. What is the other one? Rivers. And there's a 3rd one because I went, they played my team.
No, Aqua United.
Aqua. But proud football the clubs, very proud. And I can tell you, our focus is to make sure that in the Super League, there's a club from that part of the world and the other part of the world, because we need to develop football in Africa. Now, I've got a very good friend, Aliko Dangote, special guy, special gentleman, very special human being, and old friend, good person, and loves football. And I spend time with NTN, talking to them. I'm not breaching any confidentiality. Part of my duty is to encourage businesses, particularly those that I've got ties with or I know, in Africa or worldwide, to support football. And I'm so happy that MTN has increased its sponsorship for football in Nigeria. We need many, many more. But I'm proud of the good work they've done. Concerning FIFA, I don't know who is influencing you, because there's a concern that Africa influences. Is it FIFA or is it Infantino? Infantino. Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. Africa needs partners. Africa needs friends. And let me tell you something else. We grew up under a Nelson Mandela culture. Our principles and our convictions are non-negotiable, including the ones that are politically unpopular in terms of inclusivity and uniting all our people, and a real commitment to a multiracial, multicultural society in the world, because that's the most beautiful part of Africa. So the Infantino issue for me, it's an old story. It was a matter in the beginning. Let me tell you something else. One of the things I like about Infantino is that there are so many things that we agree upon, and there are things that we disagree on. Sadly, many a time when we disagree, I'm looking at things more commercially and more wanting to make sure that Africa is financially self-sustaining. And he's got much, much more experience than I do on the politics of football. And more often than not, he's correct. And my pure commercial assessment of what needs to be done is not totally correct, because I need Africa to be self-supporting, self-sustaining. So I want to assure you that look at Infantino's track record with Africa before I became president. He did good work for Africa. I think the problem is Infantino supported the World Cup every 2 years, and some of our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world, for reasons that really you must respect people whether you agree or disagree with them. And we got caught up in this issue about Infantino's differences with different parts of the world on pure issues where, from an African perspective, the FIFA World Cup every 2 years is good for Africa. But the World Cup is not only about Africa. The World Cup is about the world. So we've got to sit and listen to what the Europeans say and accommodate what their views are. Listen to what South America says. I mean, that's the spirit of it. It's just that, I saw this under apartheid, where you've got a different view from another party. They use the media to castigate you, to try and lie. I mean, some of the articles I've read are ridiculous, and I'm not worried about that. Because we fully understand that now that the issue of the World Cup every 2 years is sort of on the side, you are the first one in Africa who's asking me about Infantino in Africa, because that issue has died now. Let me say this. I come from the business world. I am not worried about people having different views and people disagree with me. That's what business is all about. and I've been in football for more than 20 years, and I realized that there's a different culture in football. If you disagree with some people, they organize their friends in the media in the countries that they come from, and they lie about you and make up stories. It's fine. I'd rather democracy. I had a meeting with the editors in South Africa, in the media, and one of the editors stood up and said, "But we all come from different backgrounds and owned by different companies, and our owners have got views. I go to the World Economic Forum all the time. I interact with the CEOs of the largest companies in the world, British, European, American, Chinese, and to have different views is good, because sometimes our views are not the best views, and we've got to change them. But I'm not worried about having journalists from certain countries having a view on Africa and trying to let their views on Africa be the dominant view. It's fine. In Africa, we need free journalism rather than journalists who. It's freedom of the press. I've got a job to do, and my job is to build African football. And in the process, I'll be criticized, sometimes justifiably, sometimes not. It's part of what Mandela taught us and what we believe in, freedom of the press. If you're a leader, you've got to be interrogated, you've got to be criticized, sometimes unjustifiably attacked. Would much rather be unjustifiably attacked than live in a country where the media is not free to criticize and to express their opinion. So I'm happy with that. What is the last thing? Do you support Amaju? Two things. I have to be guided by what the people of Nigeria want. I went to Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, and I was surprised because a few days before I arrived, they said, FIFA has got a candidate, and they say CAF has got its own candidate. And then, and there was almost twice the number of media that's here today. And the argument was that I don't know, FIFA or CAF wanted Drogba, and then but anyway, and then they said that CAF has got its own candidate, and the message to Nigeria is the same message I gave to Cote d'Ivoire. Whoever the people of Nigeria chooses as their president, we will support him and we will work with him. One other issue. Even if the people of Nigeria does not vote for Amaju Pinnick, we will respect those and work with whoever they choose. Pinnick is part of the FIFA Council. He will continue because he was elected on that basis and has got another 3 years to go. So Pinnick will continue with his role in African football, for which he was elected last year, and for which he's got 3 years to run. It's just like the president of Algeria. The president of football in Algeria has been replaced. There were lots of challenges when there were issues in Algerian football, and he had to step down. So there's a new president. But the old president was elected in some committees of CAF and will continue those committees for the next 3 to 4 years. And so the same applies to Pinnick. But let me say, I repeat, my candidate, my president of football in Nigeria is the president that is elected by the people of Nigeria. Thus far, Pinnick is still the legitimate president, and I will work with him. And I will work with any other president. Okay.
The last few questions because of time, and I know I just need to just rotate.
Sorry. Senegal, please. You are from Senegal?
No, it's from Nigeria.
Nigeria.
I'm trying to rotate a bit around.
Yeah, let's stay a little bit long in Nigeria. And then we'll spend everything.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, my voice is gone because of the semi-finals. My name is Kalista. I'm from UFM, Abuja, Nigeria. I have 3 questions for you. Let's come back to CAF, please. Briefly, I want to know what CAF is doing regarding having like a program to have more coaches, female coaches. So when we come to a tournament like this, the federation will be convinced and have more confidence in appointing female coaches, and when we come into the tournament, we see female coaches coming into this kind of tournament. That's 1. And 2, as well, you talked about development as part of one of the programs. Now, let's talk about the hosting of CAF. We talk about pitches of countries and what you should do. What are the regulations that should be set for countries to ensure then that these federations get their pitch sorted out, so that the hosting of the WAFCON or AFCON can go to other places? Like Cote d'Ivoire, you're talking about now, we're having issues because of the weather conditions, and it might postpone as well. So we should have these programs ready. Then lastly, the game, she talked about the security. Thank you to our rival Ghana. Not so happy with that for now. The punishment. The game against Nigeria, I'm not so happy. We see this in Europe, where lasers, bottles are being thrown. I want to comment CAF. CAF are evolving massively, but it's embarrassing to me that watching on the screens, for people that are not here, they see lasers being pointed at the goalkeeper when there's a penalty that's taking, lasers pointing at players. What security measures, and so sad the security head is not here, what security measures are put in place for this final? It will be crazy. The fans will be more. How can we stop these fans coming in with maybe their bottles or lasers so that we will not see this on our screen and doesn't affect our have a fair play? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be a little bit faster, so female coaches, brilliant question. We need to spend more money, allocate more resources, train them. And it starts at schools. It starts in the academies of these clubs. It starts in amateur football. And you will see more and more female coaches coming through. The regulator. You want to say? Okay, good.
Just for your information, before the competition, we have the courses for all the coaches, the regional coaches here in Morocco, training them. So we continue engaging.
Good one thing. Now, one of the things they said to me in Algeria, they said, President, you must talk about referees. The referees is a big issue. And I think the message concerning referees is a crucial. If I am the captain of a team, whether it's a football club or a national team, we should lose because the other team is better than us. And we should, and it's important for us, it should not be because the match commissioner made a mistake, or because the referee made a mistake, make a decision that's controversial. Or, and we've got VAR, that's why VAR helps a lot. But remember what I said, the custom is always right in terms of making African, making sure that the spectators and the TV viewers love watching African football. Part of that means they must also respect the independence of our referees, the integrity of our referees. It's critically important. And they must feel that the matches that are being played will be determined without any controversy around the referees. And let me say this, referees are human. And sometimes they make mistakes, but that's a matter that's receiving critical attention. We've got a partnership we signed with FIFA to help us develop and train African referees. We will be having some female referees from Africa going to Qatar. Oh, that's beautiful. So it means there are female referees from Africa who are going to Qatar for the men World Cup because they're world class. I saw some female players who, in another world, if I, 10 years ago, I would have asked them, please come and sign for Mamelodi Sundowns, the men, because you are so good that I think you'll show those men a thing or two. And then the security we spoke. Now the thing is the lasers. But that's a key issue in terms of the rules and regulations, because I'm not sure, I haven't seen lasers in European football. It may be there, I haven't seen it. But I can tell you, it is there. Yeah, but you see that we have to look at we've got to look at the rules. And we've got to take, I was talking to you about with the General Secretary, we talk about it. We have to take action. We have to take, he was saying, even suspending the stadium or making sure that we take action against the club. We cannot allow lasers to be used, particularly when it's penalty time. It's unacceptable. So we've got to look at our rules, and if we need to, and of course, even there, if you say it happens in England, now, English football and the rules in England rules I hold in high esteem. If they can't take action, then we've got to engage with them and say, but how do we deal with this? So that we do take action. Regulation, security. You want to say something about the lasers?
Yeah, I want just to say that if this is proposed to the CAF, the sanction will be taken. It's just to remind you that I was in charge of disciplinary in UEFA. In Europe, 5 years ago, they supported we using a lot of lasers. Then once CAF increased UEFA, so UEFA increased the sanction. That's why we say that they are few now, because we suspended in that time some seconds because of this. Because it's a health problem and also game problem.
So I can guarantee you we will look at that and take appropriate action. Yeah, cool.
President, I will come back from this side and then I come to you, Pierce, and then I finish in Cameroon at the door.
Yeah, but we will allow, I think we will allow everybody who's got questions to ask your questions, and then we will leave. That's Pierce?
That's Pierce.
Why do you like Pierce so much? At every press conference, if Pierce is not there, then they say that wasn't a proper press conference. Anyway, continue, please.
No, first Temple and Pierce.
Temple Magid.
Yes, Temba Shabalala Joseph, which sports in South Africa. I just had to pass this by you, President, where we see the issue of the stadiums in the continent. That has been a concern, because I've seen that most of the countries have come through, the Senegals, the Lesothos, the Botswanas have come to South Africa to use our facilities for their campfires. Is there something that we getting CAF to give preference in sorting out? Not that I'm complaining that they're coming to our country, we love it, but I'm just saying that the issue of the stadium throughout the continent is something that you're going to put the foot down to say they need to be taken care of immediately. And as much as we upgraded the books that guide the stadiums, are we seeing maybe that being given preference? Because tournaments keep coming in thick and fast, and countries still don't have facilities.
Absolutely. I want to shout out shame. Shame to go high. Give the relative sorrow. That was Arabic for those who don't understand. And maybe I should say it. But you phrase something that is a very serious issue. Very, very serious. We have to get the national teams and the clubs to play football in their countries. Lesotho, Malawi, Swaziland should not be playing in South Africa. They should be playing in their countries too. inspire and encourage the supporters to come to the stadium and build the next layer of football stars from those countries. So, and that's partly why, you know, we are giving these president's awards to some heads of state to say to them, to send a message to the other heads of states and say, you can also do well. And just, and I understand that there are budgetary constraints. Every country has to decide, you know, I've got a limited budget. Do I use the money on health because we've got COVID and save lives? Do I use the money to build schools and education or housing? Or should I give football on? And I tell you, when I drive around Morocco, and I think 2 or 3 other countries towards 6, 7 o'clock, and you see boys and girls playing football in the, you know, in football pitches. You know, beautiful. I want to see that in Soweto. I want to see that in Umlazi. I want to see that in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana. I want to see all of them. So that's a so when I've been partly why I go to these countries is when you are talking privately to the head of state, to the president, there are certain things you don't say in the media, but you talk privately and say, we can, you know, I can use my contacts in the. I mean, she spoke about Nigeria. Nigeria's got, and Ghana, they've got world-class business people. I mean, Aliko is, and many others, Micah, world-class business people, and who love football. So we've got to work on that. And many of the presidents said, don't worry, we'll fix it. Now let me tell you something else. My club had to go and play about 5 years ago in one of the African nations. They sent me on my iPhone what looked like a vegetable garden. And they said, this is where we're supposed to be. I mean, you can't allow that. But they were smart. They said, no, these people keep the ball on the ground. So don't allow them to have facilities that allow them to keep the ball on the ground. And of course, we are big and strong. So the issue of getting African stadiums to the level of FIFA, it's essential, it's crucial, and the question you ask is a very important question. And it's something that we are emphasizing in private meetings, and progress has been made, good progress. We're not where we should be, but it's a crucial matter.
Yes, and then the indomitable lion behind you.
Thank you. It's BBC. Just very simply, the next Women's Nations Cup is in 2 years' time. You mentioned hosting. When can we expect to hear who will host the tournament? Because obviously the time is running out. And then secondly, with regard to the Nations Cup qualifiers for the men in September, you say you want to help the World Cup teams. Is there any plans to postpone some of those qualifiers for the teams going to Qatar so that they can have more time to prepare?
Good question, Piers. I saw you on BBC and you look much younger there on TV. and now that I see you, you look even younger than what I saw. And I didn't recognize you. I was brushing my teeth and it's interesting here in my hotel at Sofitel. It's a challenge to get CNN. And they love BBC. Now let me tell you, I'm not just fond of BBC, I'm very proud of the journalistic history and culture of BBC. Really, it's a step. But I was brushing my teeth and I heard a voice and I said, you know, what? And I saw you there, yes. And it was wonderful. Now you asked two questions. The hosting of the World Cup for women.
The Nations Cup, the 2024 one.
You're talking our one?
Yes, of course.
Okay, because I thought, you know, as a businessman, I must know what 2 years is about, because we're going to Australia and New Zealand next year. So, let me tell you, you'll talk about the process. We haven't opened that with us yet. get it open. Yeah. There's so many competitions that we have, so I have to ask him all the time, you know. That's why it's so important. But I mustn't make him realize how important he is, because he'll ask big money from me that you know, I may have to go and ask for subsidies. But so we are going to open that process. And let me tell you this, we have to open it up to everybody. We have to open it up to everybody. What we also have to emphasize is we need good infrastructure. We are going to Arusha in Tanzania for the Ordinary General Assembly. Deep Africa, beautiful. It's because we are moving around the continent. I want to make sure that every zone, you know, we've got 6 zones, gets an opportunity to hold something significant. You know, just on the next women's AFCON, I can tell you the standard that Morocco has set. It's an exciting standard, because I like to have the problem of the next country, you know, trying to live up to the standard. I like that. It's a nice problem to have. So we will look at that. And then concerning our job is to make sure that those 5 nations get all of our support to enable them to go to and compete in Qatar. And the fact that we've had to move the AFCON Cote d'Ivoire to January 2024 means all of a sudden we've got a few free calendar dates, and there's discussions taking place within CAF as we speak to look into that issue. Because I've had many presidents of the other continents say, we want to win the World Cup. Absolutely, we want to win the World Cup as well. And part of my job is to give Morocco, give Ghana, give Cameroon, give Tunisia, give Senegal all the support I possibly can.
I'll just go to my colleague from Saudi, or from Cameroon.
Now, all your colleagues say, no, and some of my colleagues, others are, where are you from? We had such a wonderful time in your country.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Je suis
Can you tell him in French, we had such a wonderful time in this country?
Oh, on s'en félicite. On s'en félicite. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Le Cameroun est l'Afrique en miniature. Ce n'est pas seulement vous, on invite tout le monde là, à venir. Merci beaucoup. Je suis David Kéyoké, je travaille pour le quotidien Le Jour au Cameroun. Mais j'ai aussi une casquette, je suis secrétaire général de la Confédération africaine d'information sportive. C'est une association de journalistes du continent qui est née en 2018 ici au Maroc. Et donc le premier bureau a été mis sur pied en Égypte en 2019. Je suis le secrétaire général. Et je vais donc poser, je commence par vous féliciter, Monsieur le Président, et féliciter chaleureusement à côté de vous la vice-présidente pour cette organisation de la CAN féminine. On a remarqué que le football féminin africain en plein essor, et je peux déjà vous dire que j'ai mis un pari que si l'Afrique est proche de gagner une Coupe du Monde, ce sera chez les femmes d'abord. On ne doute pas que les 6 pays ou les 5 qui sont déjà qualifiés pour le Qatar peuvent gagner la Coupe du Monde, mais je mets ma main à prix pour que ce seront les femmes alors. Donc, je voudrais poser 3 petites questions. Est-ce que la CAF peut-elle mettre un programme de suivi où on peut sanctionner les fédérations qui prennent l'argent du football féminin parce qu'il semble que l'argent arrive mais qu'on fait autre chose avec? Est-ce que la CAF peut mettre un programme pour ce suivi-là dans les fédérations? Ça, c'est ma première question. La deuxième, Monsieur le Président, Et elle concerne justement l'accompagnement des pays qualifiés pour la Coupe du Monde. À l'image des fédérations qui accompagnent leurs clubs dans les compétitions continentales, est-ce que la CAF peut accompagner déjà les 4 qualifiés pour la compétition, la Coupe du Monde qui aura lieu dans un an, mais déjà la petite Coupe du Monde où le Cameroun, mon pays, et le Sénégal sont qualifiés, les 10 pays qui vont participer, est-ce que la CAF va mettre sur pied quelque chose de très rapide pour que dans 6 mois, qu'on voit, comme le Maroc a accompagné son équipe, qu'on voit l'Afrique en train d'accompagner les 2 équipes. La dernière question, c'était est-ce que la CAF peut nous ouvrir les portes, nous journalistes d'Afrique, pour un programme de suivi du football féminin dans les fédérations. À partir de ce qu'on a vu des 12 fédérations qui sont présentes ici, je crois que quelque chose de fabuleux peut être fait pour que l'Afrique gagne finalement une Coupe du Monde de football. Merci.
Thank you so much. I mean, Madam Kanza, maybe you may want to say, as our leader in women's football, just what your observation is about the competition so far, and then I'll answer his question. Madam Kanza. And please speak in French, Madam Kanza.
Merci, Président. Vous avez posé, monsieur, des questions très pertinentes concernant le football féminin et j'en suis très ravie. Effectivement, vous avez vu qu'il y a eu une grande progression depuis le début de cette compétition.